Whether it's writing about cars, introducing new beers, or creating live art experiences, Ale Sharpton is always open to learning, growing, and expanding. Ale found his gift at a very early age, and with the help of great parents and his younger siblings, he has developed his craft and honed his skills. Designing a lifestyle he loves through a lot of hard work, dedication, and consistency. Using positive self-talk and a desire to help others, Ale has established a presence both on social media and the local Atlanta scene. After starting his career at Cornell creating a comic strip, Ale was first published years ago in the local Atlanta paper, Caribbean Star, and Cypher magazine. From there, he found mentors to polish his writing and find his voice. He now reviews restaurants, breweries, artists, and musicians for an ever-growing list of syndicated publications. His own blog and his new series, Cruisin' for Bruisin', is the place for what's poppin'. Always open to improving, Ale is now a mainstay in multiple industries and a go-to influencer for everything from cars to fashion. Through his creative agency, Always Open, Ale is not just reviewing, he is doing. Whether it's releasing his signature Piano Keys Imperial Stout with New Belgium Brewery, starting his own podcast, or hosting more live art events, Ale is consistently developing his brand, his love, and his mission of unity. The epitome of cool, check out my conversation with the real Ale Sharpton.
Of course, design, I'm always big into that. Graphic design and stuff. So now I have my own creative agency called Always Open with 2 L's. Just doing a lot of fun stuff that I always want to do, as well as being a journalist, writing for Thrillist, craftbeer.com, and a couple other ones. So,
how many publications are you currently writing for right now?
Including websites, like 5.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And I review cars. And my Instagram is really my favorite medium to do my stuff. My latest post is being with Mark Wahlberg.
I saw that. Yeah, they opened up a new joint down here.
Yeah, Wahlbergs. Yeah. Wahlburgers.
Yeah, I see them in the airports and all that and whatnot. And I've obviously watched the show on TV. But
cool.
I actually never even been to the restaurant.
I don't know if I've seen an episode I was on for their show, but I will.
Nice.
That's
really
cool. Dope.
All right, cool, man. Well, I think we'll just jump right into it, man.
All right, I'm ready, bro. I'm ready.
It's going to be interesting. So this is the Extraordinary Podcast, and my guest today is Ale Sharpton.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on, brother Nathan.
The real Ale Sharpton.
Ale Sharpton.
Hey, man, really appreciate you taking the time to spend some time with us. Where we at and what we doing?
We're at Hopsticks, man. We're having a wonderful sit-down. One of my favorite spots. I really love it here.
I was going to say, this is your stomping grounds,
This is my joint, man. It's in downtown Chamblee. Shout out to Andy Tan, the owner. But it's a beautiful fusion of all my loves. Beer, and I love me some Asian-inspired food, and he mixes it all up. But really, Thai is one of the more forward-based types of food that he has here.
Well, and what's really cool about this particular area is there's a lot of really good spots have opened up in this little.
Oh yeah, it's blowing up. Yep.
Because you think of Chamblee as kind of it's a very diversified area,
industrial town.
Yeah, and you got that famous Buford Highway. It's all the rundown buildings and all that. But man, some of the best spots if you want traditional Thai, Asian, or even some of the best Mexican spots.
Yeah,
are for
we got
sure,
some African joints popping over there. It's
the real deal.
It's We Are the World down there, man. It's like a tour of the whole.
It is. It's very.
The whole
it's
globe.
A whole smorgasbord of different. And what's cool is the blending going on too. The fusion.
Yes.
That they're doing. Some of the different.
It's like a melting pot all on one avenue, and right off the avenue is this spot, man. Hopsticks, and their food is phenomenal, and their beer is equally great. He's got like 20 beers on tap here, and. Yeah, it's good.
I'm totally bummed because I've got to do this interview and smell all this food, but I'm taking some with me on the way home.
Oh, you better, dude. I got full recommendations, bro.
I'd love to be eating right now, but I don't think it'd sound too good for the podcast. Kind of want to get to the beginning, man. You have such a really cool lifestyle, and you've been able to craft a lifestyle that you designed.
Right.
And to me, that is like the epitome of all the stuff that I'm trying to do and all the things I'm talking about. What got you started down that path?
A lot of push from my parents and really letting them you know, they honed me in a way to make me feel I was confident and able to do whatever I wanted to do. And I always had a sense of humor. And then I always had, I was a little crazy. But being their first son, they kind of just, they didn't know. They just worked with me. And they were hippie parents.
Nice.
So it was cool, man. It wasn't super strict, you know. I got my butt whipped a lot, but it was because I was acting up. Yeah. They don't do that nowadays, but I appreciate every ass whip. But almost everyone, about 80%.
Yeah.
So
I'm grateful for all the butt whoopings I took over the years. I needed every one of them.
Yeah,
and
man,
probably a few more than I didn't get.
It is what it is, man. But with that, I've been blessed with a lot of talent. I conceptualize things really well. I love fashion, and I love communicating and being a people person. And I think those are all gifts. And I just love being around people and talking to them. And I'm very confident in what I do, and I just had to create a lane for myself or I would be an unhappy person.
Yeah, so let's talk about this lane that you've kind of created, because it didn't really exist. You created it. You literally kind of made your own path.
I appreciate
and that was
you.
something that was so intimidating for me. Traditionally, I always thought, go the traditional route, go the easy way, just get the normal 9-to-5 job and live that generic lifestyle. But you never went down that path. You've always been doing your own thing, always been a freelance guy. I mean, you've stumbled into some other jobs like with the editing and whatnot, where it was more of a traditional role. But all of that came about because of your writing and because of the non-traditional way that you have structured your lifestyle. For young people that are trying to figure out what they want to do and which way they're going to make their way in this world, what would you tell them?
That's a great question, man, and congrats on what you're doing, because you have a wonderful thing going on as well, man. No doubt, man. I appreciate you having me on. I would tell them to really, life is about doing what you enjoy, and everybody, no matter what, has something that they love to do. If you even love watching television, be a person reviewing television. Create a job from that, something that you could wake up to and not really think that it's just a job to make money. If you have the convenience of doing that. Now, respect to everybody who has to do what they got to do. I get that.
Right.
But still explore your loves. You got to do what you got to do. And even then, although I'm doing everything I enjoy, I still took odd jobs. I work construction, calloused hands, the whole nine. I have so much respect for those who do that. But a lot of construction people that work, they enjoy doing that as well. Yeah. I've done so many odd jobs, man, just to make extra money to fuel what my passion truly is. So that's something a lot of people didn't know that I did. I worked construction for a few years. I served tables. I've done whatever I had to do to legally to make money.
I've done a couple of them illegal things too, man.
I had to emphasize that point. But my point is to don't be ashamed to do something to make money, but really have a goal of making it something where you're getting paid for what you truly enjoy. That's what life is all about. And if you have children to feed and all that, you make your moves. That's your passion there. You're doing something you love by feeding your kids. But at the same time, man, I had a goal, and I just would be stubborn not to do what I love to do, and that's talking with people, writing, traveling the world, and documenting it to share my experiences with other people.
Well, and one of the things that I wanted to communicate to the people that are listening that I think kind of gets taken for granted, this is kind of the entrepreneurial age right now, where everybody, all these young people really want to get out there and do their own thing and create their own business, but because it looks really appealing. But I think that a lot of people don't realize how much hard work is involved.
Yeah.
And like, in order to do this kind of lifestyle, you got to work harder than what you do working that 9-to-5. You got to go above and beyond. You got to be a self-motivator. There's nobody there pushing you. So there's a lot of different self-motivating aspects of this. How do you handle that? Or how do
it's easy, but it's not. But I say it's easy because, hey, you're your own boss.
Right.
So the formula is easy. Either you don't work and not make paper, or you do and you make it happen.
It's easy to not get the job done too.
Yeah,
like it's easy to fail.
You can chill and whatever, but the reason why we work so hard at 9-to-5s is because they demand something from us, and if we got to get paid, you got to do what you got to do and have your performance on point. You should be your own boss that same way and be on your own ass and be like, hey, you better get your ass up and finish this article or get to this meeting on time. And make these moves and get these deadlines, or else you don't eat.
Well, you go without, right?
Yeah. That's why a lot of entrepreneurs have all these great stories, because they're so driven. They wouldn't take no for an answer.
Right.
Yeah, so with me, I'm just really hard on myself, and a lot of people comment that I don't really get to chill that much, but I do. I find fun in whatever I do and stuff like that, but I appreciate them recognizing the hard work I put in. Right.
What was an experience when you were younger that kind of helped shape you or mold you into who you are now?
I think the loose reins my parents gave me to know that, make me realize I was a very creative person. My whole family is very creative. It goes through generations. Culinary, a lot of chefs in our family, very successful, even up to now. A lot of educators. And I have a lot of athletes in my family and a lot of actors, and it's just it's an ongoing, and artists, big time.
How many brothers and sisters you got?
4 altogether. 4 of us all together.
Nice.
I'm the oldest.
Awesome.
Then there's my brother Lamont, Rashad, and then my sister Simone, who quote unquote is a baby, but she's not. She's like the mom of the whole family now.
She held it down.
She
for
took the
everybody
reins, man. Yeah,
Yes.
Simone's my anchor for a lot of things in the family.
That's
but
great.
yeah, and my dad's here. My mom passed away, but she was truly my inspiration and guidance and my best friend. I always see her, and she always sees me, and I know that she's proud of me just to keep going and doing the most I can.
Is there a story or an experience that comes to mind with your mom that kind of had an impact on you?
When I was 6, my parents said, "You need to watch this movie," and it was West Side Story. And no movie really affected me at that point, but that movie. I saw the dancing and how music choreographed with the dancing, and then there was some little bit of violence, although it wasn't violence, but it was everything. It was like, oh my God, what is this? And it influenced me so much that I went that night and started writing a play, my interpretation of it, and brought it to my teacher, who was in first grade, and I had it all written out. And my teacher, Ann Karen, said, "Let's do it." And we produced a whole play, and my parents came.
Grade?
Yeah, and they came through, and my parents cried. They didn't know what to do.
Wow.
Like, it was a whole play. And I told them I had something going. But they're like, "Yeah, sure, okay, sure, Pooh." My nickname was Pooh. "Sure, whatever you're going to do. Sure, we love you." And they came to the play, and I was choreographing, and I was on, snapping fingers, telling everybody, "Hey, get in line." I choreographed the whole thing. It just moved me that much. So that night, as a gift at home, they had the whole vinyl of What's That Story waiting for me, of all the music from this.
Wow.
And that made me feel
cool.
I can accomplish anything. And from there, man, it was on.
Yes, I mean, that was like, dude, you hit the ground running, man. Holy
That gave me more of a leash, too.
Well, yeah, it kind of, and at such a young age, it kind of established you down a pathway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it already, so you kind of knew really early on.
I felt like a leader, too. I was telling everybody what to do. I was like, oh, yeah. Like, I just knew I was so passionate about it. You were going to do it or you weren't. You're going to roll with me or you're not. And everybody was with me on it. It was beautiful, man.
That is incredibly
it was beautiful.
cool.
Yeah.
Gosh, man, this smell of this fruit is killing me, man.
I know. You're going to eat.
I don't know how we're
Trust
going to
me.
make it through this whole interview without eating.
Straight, man. I'm going to have something delivered while you're here. And they might have to hear a little bit of chomping.
Dude, if you're going to eat and chew at the same time, or chew and talk at
What
the
kind of
same
stuff
time.
you into?
Oh, dude, I like it all, man. I don't know what I smell, but those ramen bowls smell
Yeah, the
ridiculous.
ramen. You see, there's already mad people here. It's not even noon yet.
Yeah,
So.
it's crazy. This place just opened up, and it's already packed.
Yep.
Clearly, this is the right spot to be in. Are there any other people that had a lasting impact with you? Did you have any mentors, particularly with the writing? I'm real curious, getting you started down this.
Just a lot of the editors that kind of helped me throughout my time and honed my craft, and always kind of Stan Washington is one of them. He's an icon here in Atlanta, and he was always really good with me. But my mom was a writer, so she helped me when she let me know I could write. Like I have a novel still sitting that I just don't want to put out, or maybe one day I will, about my experience at Cornell. And
it's finished?
Yeah, it's ready to
Nice.
rock. And it could be an ongoing series or something, But my mom also was a big-time writer, and then really it was just my style, man. Like, there's always some writers out there who really do a lot of things that I'm like, okay, that's dope, and whatever. But I really never really followed anybody's writing. That's an interesting question, but I kind of just always had. I write how I talk, but I always throw, have some eloquence in there and some big words to balance stuff out. It depends on what,
Right.
The publication or whatever I'm
Like
writing
the
for.
audience you're catering
what I
to and
mean?
all that, sure.
So, but like Thrillist, I really write with my voice more than a lot of others. But some, I just know how to switch it up. You know what I'm saying? So
which one do you think is the most representative of you personally, of all those that you deal
publications?
with? Publications.
Oh, man.
And the articles that you're writing and stuff.
You know what?
Are they all?
They all are,
pretty
because
really
I like the
reflective of you.
ability to adjust to whatever their writing style is. So they're all my way of doing it. You know what I mean? That's an interesting question. Even my blog, I write more of my voice on my blog.
Definitely.
Which makes sense.
That for sure.
But, I love writing for each one. I'm like, okay, cool. I know I have to be a little more structured, a little more business sense on that. And that's what Atlanta Tribune trained me for, to write in a more business style, because it's a business magazine.
Yeah, because it's more
so that honed my craft. And then Atlanta Voice was more community-based, so I wrote about passionate community situations. And then J'adore was more lifestyle. So all these different ways have really shaped me to the way I am right now.
It's really honed your craft.
Yeah, it's crazy,
For sure.
bro. And then writing for
that's
hip-hop magazines, Double XL and websites and all that, it kind of just, the source.
Well, and that demonstrates your diversity and your talent, because to be able, not many people can write a business-based article, turn around and do a review on a up-and-coming rapper, and then turn around and deal with a community issue or something like that.
It's a beautiful thing, bro.
Yeah,
I'm blessed, dude. And, it's hard work, though. It's not like I was born to write like that. I had to go and work at these jobs and make it happen. And
that's one of the things that I'm struggling with, because like you, my background is construction. So I am not a writer, and I didn't have any of these amazing experiences at a younger age like you did with writing.
Yeah.
But now, as an adult, trying to write a book and trying to write content, and even getting into the articles and blogging and doing all that stuff, it's been really hard for me. It's not been an easy transition, and it's something that, I still feel like I'm just at the very tip of the iceberg as far as trying to hone my craft.
Yeah, man.
And find my voice and all that. Do you have any advice that you would give to somebody like me who's trying to kind of figure that out, or maybe who wants to write that book? Or
my first advice would just say stop saying trying, because you are doing it. We're here. We're getting interviewed right now, and you're progressing, not trying.
That's true.
So I don't ever say try whenever I can. It's almost like a curse word to me, because you are doing it. It's just a matter of now building your audience and you interviewing, thankfully, people like me who are sharing that same dream of progressing. So that would be my advice, because you're doing it already. And then just keep networking. There are going to be a lot of people going to be full of it. Haven't cursed so far, so I'm going to try and keep it going. It's hard for me to do that.
Whatever you need to do.
See that ability to adapt. You see that?
Adapt.
Because I'm a sailor, trust me. I can curse with the best of them. But anyway, but there are people that will also help, and I wouldn't be afraid to ask for that. People can help me out. Hey, AL, do you think you can get this interview out on your social media outlets and whatever you need from me? Anything like that, that's easy. I got you.
Man, that's
you know
awesome.
What I mean?
really
but this is
appreciate
dope.
that.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
So, do you remember the first thing you had published? The first article that you wrote that was in a magazine or something that was out there, not just something that was from your own blog and or anything like that. Do you remember the first thing you put out?
I remember my first thing that was really. Oh, you know what? I've been in newspapers with photos and stuff like that, so that was cool. But as far as, and then I had a cartoon that I had published in the Cornell paper. I was a cartoonist for that for a while.
No way.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I did only a couple of cartoons, but it was so dope.
Yeah, that's awesome, though.
That's a great question. I'm not sure. I guess I'm going to have to go with Cypher to be officially going at it and seated in a magazine. I'm going to have to give it to Cypher magazine. Oh, and Caribbean Star. So it was between those two. Caribbean Star was a newspaper that was here in Atlanta as well, and I had my own column on that.
One.
Yeah, Caribbean Star. I'm Jamaican.
Cool.
And my cousin Greg and his, rest in peace, his late dad, George Russell, had Caribbean Star, man. And the editor, Bill, was a great person as well. And they had me on board and had my own columns on that, too. So I got to shout out Caribbean Star. But those were the publications, that and Cypher. I was like, oh, man.
Mostly hip-hop articles at that point, early on?
With Caribbean Star, I was reviewing restaurants, entrepreneurs, and then talking about music and stuff like that. And then Cypher was more beer. I had my own beer column called Brew for the Poor, P-O-U-R. I always love puns and messing around with the English language. I just love doing that. And so seeing my columns really lit up like that was big for me. Yeah. That was big. So that made me see that people were able to say, hey, he's going to do his own thing. Let's give him his own columns.
Well, since you brought up the puns, let's talk about the newest project that you've got. Well, I don't know if it's the newest, but it's a project that you've got going on right now. You're condoning drinking and driving. You want to talk about that?
I'm what?
Condoning drinking and driving.
No, Dennis Byron drives the cars that I review. And then,
cruising for bruising.
Cruising for a bruising.
So tell us about that.
It's more of a you're about to get your ass whipped phrase. But I flipped it and spelled it BREWSIN. And it's no G's in there, cruising for a bruising. So, no, it's just a play on words again. It had nothing to do with cars, honestly. It was more just something cool to use as a cool website domain. And then I started reviewing cars, so it kind of just fit into it. But I would never put the brew with the car stuff. But then the car people loved the fact that I was also a lifestyle person, influencer, so it was okay once I established that it wasn't about drinking and driving at all.
Obviously.
But it was a fun play on words. And
and the show itself is super hot, man.
So I look
at Atlanta Eats,
right.
with Steak Shapiro and
Thanks, man.
And then I saw yours. I'm like, dude, forget that, dude. You need to be running this jam.
Oh, I appreciate you, man. And that's funny you brought that up. Cruising for a Bruising was the name of my show.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of clips of my ones that I produce and work with a lot of people on, and it's ongoing series. But Steak Shapiro actually had me on his show, which is so cool. And I've been on there at least 6 times.
No kidding.
So, I wanted to give him a shout-out for having me on there and the whole staff over there at Atlanta Eats. So, but it's the same vein as what I understand you're saying, and it is. It's about fun. It's about food, and then they have beer in there and all that, and then
Atlanta Eats is based on the food, and then they bring the cocktails in as like a sidebar kind of deal.
Yes, sir.
But yours is kind of beer-based.
Yes, sir.
And then you bring in the food as like the ancillary part to go with that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
How did you get into the whole car review thing? How did all that start?
I just saw another car journalist who was a friend of mine. Shout out to Kim Jack Riley. She got a car delivered. I was like, what the hell is going on over there? She's like, oh, yeah, I review cars for this magazine. And and she kind of showed me the ways of it and all that. And then I happened to be a part of a magazine, J'adore, that had a car section. So I made things work. They saw how I wrote about them, and I wasn't just trying to get a car. It was more about the way I wrote about it. Again, I write the way I talk.
Right.
But it was still, there's some eloquence in there and some, the facts were in there and the MPG and all that, miles per gallons and all that stuff that people wanted. But I had a certain voice the way I wrote about cars, and ended up being one of the only brothers, a part of that circle of car writers who were mostly white male in their 40s and 50s and 60s doing their thing. And they've been doing it for years, and I just feel blessed to be a part of that group.
Well, it's cool to
car
get
writers.
a different perspective than that same generic lock, stock, and barrel kind of thing. Like, it's really cool to see some other perspective and see, like, other aspects of what other people think about these vehicles and stuff like that. It's really
man.
Cool.
It's cool, though. But also, it's also about being very careful. With the industry I'm in, I'm around a lot of food and a lot of other things that can mess you up if you don't have a mind state of being very, very careful. Because I love reviewing these cars, so I review the cars, but then I always Uber around after, if I'm at an event or whatever to make sure there's no BS following it. You know what I mean?
Like, you're worried about something maybe happening to the car? Is that what you're saying?
Anything. Just messing up my reputation of being doing what I do. So I've just been very careful with that, and this has been years.
Important.
It's been years, and I don't want to play myself, and I know people feel me on that. When you have an opportunity to do something like I'm doing, why would you jeopardize that?
So that brings up an interesting point I'm really curious about, because obviously when we do these things, we're promoting a beer, promoting a restaurant. I'm promoting other people with this podcast. But have you had a situation where, like, the car that you were going to write about or a beer that you were going to write about really sucked? And then, like, how do you deal with that as far as, like, especially because, like, I've got some friends that own breweries. And fortunately for me, the friends that I have that own breweries have a really great product.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a beer drinker, but I see the recognition, I see the accolades that they're getting, so I know they've got a good quality product. But then I was thinking about, well, what if my friends was putting out a beer that really sucked, and then and then they wanted me to, to talk about them or to have a conversation with them about them or to promote them? Well, then how do you do that?
That's a really great question, and I have a policy to not. I got to cuss. Don't shit on anybody when it comes to their craft. In this case, with breweries, man, the work is so hard. And it's a hobby, but it's turned into an art. There's chemistry involved. There's
truly an art
There's
form.
biology involved, understanding that. Then there's just so many different things. It's culinary. So with the amount of hard work, if I try a beer and it does suck, it suck meaning that maybe the carbonation's off or they just way too hard on one of the ingredients or it just wasn't done right. It's more of a keep hope alive and keep going, hone your craft, good luck.
I like that.
Instead of, a lot of people already do that. There's a lot of enough negativity in the world. I just won't write about it.
Thank goodness, yeah.
And with cars, there aren't really, there are sucky cars, but it's more of if it's my style or whatever. There's a car for each market. But if the car is really kind of bad and not for my audience, then again, I won't write about it. And those car makers understand that. But technology has really stepped its game up where that doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, I think the cars are much more on an even playing field now. A lot of the features are all still the same. But then even again, like for me personally, like I'm this diehard Toyota Tacoma guy. Like I love this truck and I'm so obsessed with this truck. But then I was like, well then what if I get an opportunity from Nissan or from Chevy or somebody like that to
sponsorships, whatever the case is.
Yeah, to whatever it is. And they're like, well, how do you stay true to what you love but then still want to do right by as many people as you can, promote things that, people that you want to support and all that.
Yeah, that's real, man. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, you could be loyal to it. It doesn't mean you don't have to own one or have one in your garage next to whatever your sponsorship car is. You can still keep it real.
Tesla.
Yeah, you never know, bro.
That's what's coming, baby.
So it is what it is, man. But yeah, I just try to spread negativity any chance I get. But if somebody does something real foul or whatever, or some kind of something happens where they deserve some ink, then that's when I come in.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. So tell me about one of your toughest losses. I'm going to shift gears on you a little bit.
My toughest loss was, again, my mom.
Losing your mom?
Yeah, it was my mom.
How long ago did she pass?
She passed from cancer. It's going on, 8 years now? It was the day before Thanksgiving, but the only thing I could say about it was I had time to know that it was going to happen. So I spent more time with her. I always spent more time with my mom anyway. She loved to play cards and talk, and she was a teacher of the year for Georgia, Brenda Byron, and she was just a beast at what she did. And she was my rock. And then going from there, and not to equate the two, but at the same time, Kobe felt like a family member to me just because I've watched him since his, times in high school.
Right.
And having a player be documented all the way through in my life, that really hit me hard recently.
Well, he was our generation. He was our age.
He was our dude, right?
He was our dude, yeah, exactly.
And the family man he became and all those different things. And you could see there's not many people that can affect the world like that.
Yeah.
With shrines and all these different things set up for him. Memorials and all this stuff, and even ongoing. He's had an effect on the world, man, and it's tough. Him and his daughter and the effect on his family. I just felt that, and I haven't been hit like that in a while, man. I have losses, but.
For what it's worth, I also want to take a minute. There are two other men who passed this past week, Larry Shaw and Clay Christensen. Those are both two mountain of men that not many people knew. Clay Christensen was actually the dean of the business school at Harvard.
Oh, wow.
And he was an amazing basketball player as well in his own right, but obviously significantly older. But those are two additional men who passed this past week.
Shout out to them.
Yeah. It was tough for me this past week dealing with a lot of this loss and thinking about some of these deaths and things. And it helped put some things in perspective for me that were that I kind of needed. So it was a real blessing to be able to attend their funerals and to remember them. And then what's so weird is like they both passed, and then Kobe passed a day or two later. It was just like, man, it was like all these things kind of piling up all at once. And
it's that ongoing lump in your throat, but I think the only way we can heal ourselves is to remember why they had a significance in our life, and maybe that will help remedy a lot of it and what they would want us to do going forward if they were here. So.
Well, it's so funny that you say that because, like, there's that old saying, what would Jesus do? You saw the bracelets back in the day. Mm-hmm. Well, Larry Shaw in particular was just known for talking to strangers and seeing somebody that was having a bad day
and his kids spoke to it at length at his funeral about how he would go out of his way to meet somebody, a total stranger, have a conversation with them, bring up their spirits, and do all that kind of stuff. So my new thing was like, well, Larry Shaw was taken from this earth, and man, like of all the people who we need on the earth, like that's one of the guys that we need, especially right now with all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, well, why would you take him now? And the only thing that I could come up with was, well, God decided to take him now so that the rest of us would be inspired to try to be like him.
Mm-hmm.
Let us all be like Larry Shaw. So my thing now is, instead of what would Jesus do, it's WWLSD.
Mm-hmm.
What would Larry Shaw do?
That's what's
and
up.
So that's kind of what I've been thinking about.
We need our motivations and we need our whatever will help us get going. And I understand that totally, man. So, yeah, I hear you.
So what's an ideal day look like for you? What's an ideal everyday look like for Ale Sharpton?
This one's starting out to be one. I have a lot of meetings, but it's all meetings that will help me progress.
Yeah.
That will help me realize what my life is about with this podcast right here, meeting good people. So, and I'm reviewing a restaurant tonight with my wife. So just everything, man. It's ongoing. I'm going to call my family, who I talk to every day, and I'm going to be in a great car that I'm reviewing today, which is a beautiful thing. I just every
Which
day
car are you looking
I
at
make
today?
every day a dope one. Right now, this is the Lexus 2020 RCF Coupe,
Nice.
ultra white, beautiful car.
Oh, is that the one I saw back then
Yeah,
over
that's
there?
it.
Ah,
That's it.
dude, that thing
Yeah.
is hot.
Yeah, it's great. Shout out to Lexus.
Yeah.
But I try to make every day a memorable day. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's
Like-
beginning one right now.
Live each one to its fullest, right? Try
Yes,
to take
sir.
advantage.
Yes, sir.
What's something odd, weird, or different about you compared to most other people that has maybe led to some of your success? Other than the ability to write, because clearly that's something that you were gifted.
I don't know if a lot of people have this or not. I never really talked about it, but having conversations with yourself in your head. Like as if you were your best
Interesting.
friend.
Yeah.
I don't do it out loud. People look at me, I'm crazy. But I can play it off like I have one of them the phone things in my ear.
The
whatever,
earbud in?
the Bluetooth
Yeah.
joints. But I do. It's like I'm my own best friend. It might sound corny to some people, but if you realize you're with yourself 24/7, so I always
Yeah.
say to people, be your own best friend then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or else, and I
Your own worst enemy.
yeah, right. So it's more of understanding yourself, embracing it, and having conversations. When I say conversations, like, yo, should I do that? You know, when you have to ask questions.
Oh,
or,
yeah, for sure.
Let me go over here. And people, you do it. You realize it or not. You
Yeah,
do it.
dude, I do
When
it all the
You
time.
do it out loud.
Yeah.
Stuff like, let me go ahead and grab this. Like, you say stuff like that. Who are you talking
Who
to?
are you talking to? You're talking to yourself, right?
You know what? You ask those things, so you're already doing it, but it's more of just knowing what's best for you, and it's almost entertaining yourself. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you know what? Let me hear a little bit of this music right now. You're having a conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
So having that as a great relationship will make everything else so much easier.
It's funny you say that because when I run, I do that.
Mm-hmm.
I have like these really long, in-depth conversations with myself about whatever issue I'm dealing with. It's almost like a little bit of a form of meditation or therapy, kind
Sure.
of just fleshing things out.
Sure.
In that same vein, what is one item that you could not live without that's under $100 that you use on a daily basis?
Well, it can't be my phone, man.
No, because phone's too expensive.
That's too easy,
That's
right?
too easy, too. Yeah, too boring. And it could be something you do use at the house. It could be something in the car. It could be something that that you've got in your pocket all the time.
That's another great question. I think my go-to is my wallet. It has everything. It has all my stuff in there, but also has my business cards, and I love handing those out to people because I know that means someone made an influence on me, or I made an influence on them for me to hand them my business card. So
Yeah.
it has all that, and then not much more than that, y'all. So don't be sweating me on this. But no, I just feel naked without it, and
Isn't
it's
that funny?
under $100. I try not to buy a real expensive wallet. Oh, there are a couple I have my eye on.
Now, do you do the trifold or do you do the?
I'm double.
You do double?
I think it's double. This is a double joint.
Yeah, so yours
but it has
goes
this right here, this joint.
Oh, okay, yeah, the flip.
But
up.
yeah, I got all my stuff in there.
Yeah.
You all feel me. If you go without your wallet you feel naked. You don't, besides that and your phone, you feel naked, and you kind of need that to function. I don't know. I don't know if that was an
I
easy
can't
answer
stand
or
the
a
big
different
wallet.
answer.
I
but
have
yeah.
to have a super low profile. Mine doesn't even. it doesn't even fold, and it's like
You got the one that slides.
Yeah. Super simple.
I meet so many people that I have to have a little more compartments. But I hate a big ass wallet too.
Yeah.
My brother downsized his. I used to get on him about his. He had receipts, and I'm like, get rid of that damn book in your back pocket, dog. Come on. He's like, all right. So that's Lamont. I love him to death. That's my boy right there.
So one of the things that I find really interesting about you and a lot of people that I interview for this show is the learning mentality.
Yeah.
You're always wanting to learn. You're always wanting to grow and develop and get better at your craft or even new crafts, something like that. How do you consume content? How do you get your new information? How do you learn?
Every day I learn something. I learn.
But do you like books? Do you like is it audio? Do you do you doing podcasts? Or you like
podcast is on the way
education?
for me. That's going to be one of my meetings today, actually. So this is going to be a good day for that.
You're thinking about doing your own podcast?
Oh, it's going to happen.
Awesome.
Oh, it's going to happen.
That's
it's just
fantastic.
a matter of doing it totally right, and
Yes.
you'll know about it for sure.
Definitely.
I can't talk
I
about
can
it
help
too
you
much
out on
until
that
that.
any way I
Yeah, I
can. I'd
appreciate
love to
that.
help
No
out.
doubt, dude. Definitely. We'll definitely be rapping about that. But that's one of my meetings today. But yeah, I guess it's just being around people because I should read more. But a lot of my friends are writers and they write real great articles. I'll read up on that. But it's more creating my own
you're
content.
reading online content continually with your job and
A
what
little
you do.
bit. It's funny. I might do it for references, but I don't. I guess I could read more, but I'm more taking what's just around me, and if I need information, I'll go find it. But I just learn from the experience of life every day.
So if you needed that information, give me an example of one of those. If you were trying to research an article or something, or you were trying to prepare, how would you go about doing that? What would that look
if it's
like?
about a brewery or something, I go directly with the brewery website and the people behind it.
What about a car? Like some of these car articles
cars
you
too.
write.
Cars directly to the website. There's no better fact checking than going direct. If I'm writing about this Lexus, I got to go to Lexus and talk to the representatives if I have any questions. I go to the source. So
Nice.
if anything's wrong, it's their fault. It's not mine.
Right. So if you're getting bad information, it's on them.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. But that doesn't happen with car industry because they got to make sure their stuff is on point.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then with beer, again, calling up the breweries or getting stuff out their website to get the full facts. Now, there might be other small things that you can look up from articles written about breweries to be like, oh, I didn't know that and know that and know that, if they're reliable sources. But overall, that's the way I roll with that. So there's Andy Tan right there working.
Oh, yeah,
See him over there? He
shout
does
out.
everything,
The
man.
owner,
He's a
man,
beast.
he's out
He's
there
a
making
beast.
it happen.
He's
What
a
a
beast.
cool dude, man.
Yeah, man. He's over there scooping up some rice right now for, I think it's the king crab rice that he's scooping up right now, which is bananas too. That might be something
Jack
that will
of
last
all
you
trades.
if you mess with rice at all.
Yeah, sure. Dude,
yeah.
I ain't afraid of any of it, dude.
My diet's very strict, but
Oh,
that's why
are
I
you?
asked that question.
Okay, so that brings up a great question. So I'm real curious about this new trend in beer. Everybody's anti-gluten. Gluten plays a role in beer. So there's been this, I don't want to say shift, but there's been this massive development in, was it seltzer beer? Am I saying that
it's
right?
not a beer. It's seltzer water, actually, and they're just flavoring it. But breweries have the access to the canning and access to actually make it on site where you're having carbonated water and then you add in your flavoring. It's actually a fairly easy process. So they're like, hey,
But
with
it's
White
not
Claw,
brewed
people like
a
they
traditional
No.
beer? Huh, interesting. So
no.
I thought those White Claws, I thought that was all in that same vein. It's not.
No.
It's not that traditional. Huh.
No, but beer, you have access to the water. You have access to carbonating
Right.
with the carbon dioxide and all the stuff that you're working with. So it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't a brewery want to, unless you're true to craft. I get it where you just truly, I'm only making beer.
Well,
and I
there
get
are.
that.
Yeah, that's what I've read into is
But-
a lot of the traditional beer guys
Yeah.
are kind of like bucking it despite how popular it is
Yeah, no
because
doubt.
it's not
That's what it is,
in
though.
that traditional vein.
Some breweries won't make light beer. Some breweries won't make, you know what I mean, to compromise what their regular process is. And I definitely respect that. At other times, though, there are great breweries that are making it, like Jekyll, Sweetwater. They're making their own kind of seltzer interpretations.
Yeah, well, it
So-
seems like, everybody who wants to get on that train is coming out with some kind of version of that. So let me ask you this then. That's kind of the new trend now. What do you think the future holds for that industry? What's it going to look like 10 years from now?
We're very trendy people. I'm not sure how long this is going to go, but
Yeah, because I don't foresee the seltzer thing being a long term. Maybe I'm wrong.
it might
but-
have it's advantageous because it's kind of like tonic water still around, all these other kind of carbonated,
Well, I just think
simple
Zima,
stuff.
man.
But
I just go back
yeah.
to Zima.
Well, Zima was more. Respect to Zima, but yeah, that was more of a quick trend situation.
Right. I guess so. When I saw White Claw, that was my first thought.
I don't see Zima
but I
much
guess that's
anymore.
kind
Is
of
it
a
still
different-
around?
I don't think so. I have no idea, but I would imagine probably not.
But this could have some legs just because it's very simple. It's not like you have a secret ingredient that makes it the new in thing. It's just more of taking traditional ingredients and making something that's been around for a while, but now it's breweries doing it, having more accessibility to it. I think it does have legs, man. And White Claw kind of got it popping.
Yeah, for sure.
And made it what it is. And then everybody saw the profitability of that and kind of made it happen.
Yeah, everybody jumped on board.
I'm for breweries making money, though. It doesn't bother me when I see breweries having it, just so they keep true to their craft with making beer right.
Right. Still keep the original stuff on point.
Yeah. But, a lot of people are making it. Second Self and I see it. I see it happening.
So, speaking of podcasts, you said you're going to do one. One of the questions I always ask everybody is, if you had a podcast, who would you want to have on your podcast? And then also, too, who do you think would be good for this podcast?
On mine would have to be one of my inspirations for writing about beer and drinking beer and brewing beer would be Garrett Oliver.
Is he going to be your first guest once you're popping?
Could be.
Yeah.
There's a couple other people on my list as well.
Putting you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah, Kobe was one of them, honestly, just because.
Yeah.
It has to be somebody in music that would have been, that would be perfect for me because I could pick their brains. It would be somebody like Pete Rock or somebody like that. As far as a producer, I would love to talk to DJ Premier as well. He's one of my favorite producers, and he has such a history with Gangstar and all that. He'd be fun. Hebrew Brantley, the artist, will be really fun to do. He's crazy. Look him up, Hebru. But as far as who you should have on there would be Mike Jordan. And not Michael Jordan, Mike Jordan. He's a wonderful writer based here in Atlanta, and he's an influencer and a hustler, and he has an interesting story, beautiful family, and he'd be great to definitely do it. He's just fun.
And you were talking about Andy here would be a good one, too.
Andy would definitely be fun. Andy's kind of on the shy thing. But
that's all right.
So anyway, Mike Jordan would be really good for you.
Excellent. I'll have to reach out. I appreciate that.
But Hemperor is it might be the first one to really get it popping with New Belgium. I know so much about it because I made a beer with them, Piano Keys.
So you've gotten into the brewery stuff too, huh? Not just writing about it. You actually get your hands dirty too, huh?
Well, yeah, a little bit. Actually scooping up grains and all that. But as far as with New Belgium was such a fun experience because they're one of the best breweries in the world.
Yeah.
And they gave me an opportunity to make my own beer. I came with them with
crazy.
the idea about diversity. I said, let's make my own beer. And they were cool. And I had a whole concept. I love the creative side of it. The first batch came out last year, Piano Keys, and it sold out immediately.
Nice.
And I had a lot of great support, especially from the Atlanta community, Colorado community, the
And that
North
was
Carolina
that was
community.
Ale or
Yeah, it was Imperial Stout.
Imperial Stout.
So the whole thing was about diversity and how can we make it more. What would you suggest? And I said, hell, let's make a beer. And they're like, oh, okay. So my beer was Piano Keys, which is ebony and ivory.
I love
but it came after I had the idea. I want to make a chocolate vanilla stout. And we had the name. Name was available. I made sure all this stuff before I sat at that table with all of the head team, the executive team. And everybody's executive, which is dope about New Belgium. Everybody's employee owner, which was really cool at the time last year.
Yeah.
So now we'll come out with another batch. So that's another thing I'm working on right now, and I have to submit what I would like to do for this year's.
It's going to be different, or it's going to be the same? It's going to be.
It's going to be. I'm trying to have a couple little things, but I'm not changing the recipe. It's more the presentation.
Nice.
I'll be more open with it once we solidify it. But that's the other thing I have to do today. That's why today is amazing for me with the podcast negotiation to sending my proposal to New Belgium today. And,
you got a packed day, man.
It's
rocking
crazy.
and
This
rolling.
started it off, though.
Yeah, then we're kicking it off right. Hey, that's no better way to do it, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For sure. What's the story that you want to be remembered for? Or how do you want to be remembered? We were talking about death, and, we've had some tragedies happen and whatnot. What's the legacy that you hope to leave?
Living every day to its fullest and doing it with people I enjoy being around and love. And I'm a people person, so I make sure I try to share. I'm a sharing person. I think everybody will say that about me, and I love to give. It's just, even when you see homeless people on the side, I look at my car like, God, I'm not going to give them this mint. That's not going to be disrespectful, but I'm like, I wish I can give something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't roll a lot of cash on me like that, but whenever I have a chance to give, I do. And I just want people around me to be as happy as I am, or I'm not happy.
Well, and I've found that with with inspirational people, that's a common theme. That is to serve. And how can I help you? What can I do for you?
Yep.
And these people that they're always looking to do for the other, and it's never about them. And I've really found that Dave Meltzer is one that's really good at talking about that on Instagram. And he's a sports agent, but he's like just literally willing to do anything and meet with anybody and do what they can to help one another, whether it be the homeless guy on the corner or your partner that lives next door that you're trying to help grow a business. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do to serve, and that's again a big part of the theme for this podcast is how can we serve. And so that's awesome. I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, I love giving, man. That's
it's the name of the game.
anything I can do for somebody, and people will say they'll attest to that. They'll know it's fun, man. And you supporting me, you have the same nature. We're all looking out for each other, man. That's what life is all about, man. Just me being happy by myself and one day being really rich and all that. But I don't enjoy that if I'm just doing it on my own. I'm my own best friend, but at the same time, I want to enjoy it with people. So.
It's empty. Yeah, that's not as fulfilling. There
are people like that, though.
So we talked about the future of the industry, but what about the future for Ale? What does that look like for you? What's the next 10 years look like for you, man?
Doing more ventures that will make me happy. One of them is the podcast, and then my burgeoning creative agency, Always Open. It's about to get really crazy with that. So it's about learning how to allocate my time to really what's important and what will really make me, my family, and everyone around me happier, and all of us prospering together. And I'm in that mode right now. Like, it's go time. I really feel 2020 is going to be a phenomenal year for me.
That's so crazy. I'm right in the same boat with you, man.
Yeah,
that's
man.
exactly
Let's ride, bro, and
what
let
I'm
me know what
feeling,
you need, and I'll do the same for you.
Well, it's like taking care of the family, man. Like, that's been a big thing, a big theme for me is like this year is going to be the year
It is.
where it's like you get to do right by some people that really blow their mind. Well, for me, I'm hoping to really blow the minds of some people that are close to me with what I hope to be able to do for them. I'm
and
really
our friends, the
excited about
ones
that.
you mentioned, and Kobe and everybody else passing, it makes us appreciate life. So it's kind of almost a gift they're giving us with their passing. But like, yo, see this thing?
Wake up,
Nothing's
dude.
promised to anybody. Go get yours and enjoy every single minute. So even having beefs with people or whatever, try to squash it and keep it moving. And at the same time, show love to those who show love to you. So.
For sure. So is there any other big projects like this year, like on the immediate that you want to talk about or that you can share a little bit about? You said there's some ventures that you want to get into. Anything
Yeah,
that you
well,
want to share
definitely look out for
year?
Piano Keys. That's going to happen.
Piano Keys beer will be out
Yeah,
this
it's fun
spring?
because every time I do a launch, I had a big party at each one. So
Nice.
it's music and just good people being around. And the diversity is there because everybody's – it's like we're the world again. It's like everybody's coming to try this beer, but it's white, black, it's Asian, it's Latinx, it's all of that, and all of us are coming together and sipping, and the beer is unifying. And that's why what my point was with New Belgium when they asked me to come out there. Like, what do you think we should do? I said, beer unifies people.
I love it.
It's not an ostentatious drink. It's not something where you got to ball out, but it's everybody sipping, and beer can emulate any flavor, and that's why I love writing about it so much. So whereas the industry has all these different, in the beverages, there's bourbons and all this stuff, and that's fun for that particular market. But beer, you can emulate any flavor. Peanut butter,
It's so
chocolate.
universal.
Yeah, it's like crazy. No matter what it is, you can make it. Peanut butter and jelly beer, like it's crazy. So with that, I want to continue to make beer and make people happy, lubricate the palate so we could discuss more about how we can progress all together.
Yeah, well, and it's a great – I mean, beer halls and beer tap rooms have always been a gathering place.
Yeah.
A gathering place to share ideas, to share experiences, and to share camaraderie and that common bond, that you get. I think that's beautiful, man.
Thanks, man.
That's awesome.
Appreciate you. No doubt.
So that's the immediate future. Is there an item on your bucket list
Oh, man.
that you would be willing to share with us?
Man, we're talking about passing and deaths and bucket
know,
lists
right?
and all that, man. But it's real. You got to know what you want to do. I've never been to Africa before. That's definitely on there to see what the motherland's talking about. Getting back to Jamaica, I haven't been there in years. And,
Any particular part of Africa you're looking forward to seeing?
Oh, man. Everybody says to start with South Africa, but I just want to, I don't know, just any part of it to touch grounds there. I'll make it strategic where I can maybe explore some things that are some of my interests. maybe something that has a brewery there and all that, because beer was discovered in Africa. So always got to
know that.
Oh yeah, Africa, and then we're in the Middle East now. Sumerian times, man. They used to pay people to build pyramids with beer, and I believe women were the first to really create beer.
Awesome.
But Nikasi was a goddess of beer,
likely.
and they had like Egyptian inscriptions of beer recipes and all kinds of. So yeah, and a lot of people don't know that. So I got to go to where it was first discovered. So hopefully, seeing something like that, or the hymn of Nikasi being inscribed somewhere, whatever the case is. So
Cool. One thing I neglected to talk about, I just want to bring up real quick before we wrap it up.
no doubt.
Not only do you do the writing and you've got all these cool things going on with all the beer and the cars and all of that, but you also do events. You've done some really cool events. Eric Nine is a guy that I've recently met, and is a really neat dude. And
shout out to Eric Nine. He's a beast.
He's actually going to be on the podcast here pretty
dope.
soon.
Please
And
tell us what's up.
I definitely will. And actually, I reached out to him to try to get some inside stuff on you.
You did?
To make sure that, because I always like to have a little nugget I can spring on you.
Nice.
Kind
Word
of thing.
up, man.
But you did an event with him.
Yeah.
With Twisted
A few.
Circus. So tell me about that event in particular, but then also, too, like, all these events that you're doing, like how that kind of plays into all the other stuff that you're doing.
I love art, and I'm actually an artist, but I wish I could put more time into doing it. You know, I can do it all.
Heart.
Yeah, it is, man. My art is writing right now, but I want to get back into it, man. I'm going to all these dope art shows, and I'm living vicariously through them, and Eric is one of the best. He's ridiculous.
Unbelievably talented.
And we've worked together so long, man, in the past, and helping produce art shows featuring his work and business, designing logos, the whole nine. And he's just so driven, man, and he'd be a great person to have in your show. Yeah, Eric is dope, and I love just doing art shows. So I did one with Hebrew Brantley. I did a few with Eric Nine. I got a couple upcoming ones that I'm going to be working on. Joseph Guay. There's just so many people that I've worked with, and musicians, DJs, that I just love people coming together. And then, of course, I have to have a beer element or a libation element to it.
So how did all that kind of come together? How did all that kind of...
Working with meeting my boy Mike Moore and Eric Nine, we got together and initially formed Allways Open before a lot of paths kind of got everybody doing a lot of other things, but we still come together. Eric introduced me to Mike Moore, and he's dope. He's with the NBA, but he's a photographer, and we did stuff called I'm a Beast, and that really started to get me into really producing art shows, and I just took it from there and got together, and we've done a lot of great ones, man. The Hebrew Brantley one might be the craziest one Atlanta's ever seen. I'm not kidding, and I have video on my Vimeo.com/Ale Sharpton. Look up Hebrew Brantley art show called Penny Candy, and that's when we all produced together, and oh, man. It was at Lowe's Hotel, and it was a couple thousand at that one.
Wow.
No, it was nuts.
That's cool.
You see that video, you're going to see what I'm talking about. But the intimate ones are just as dope because people come and appreciate the art and know about them and interested about them. So I'm not going to stop producing art shows. And there are going to be a couple ones coming up.
I love the cross-blending, too, like bringing in different elements, too.
Oh, yeah.
Not doing it just
there might be a car in front, too, when you're going out there.
Yeah, that was what so appealed to me was it wasn't like you're just going to go see an art. I'm trying to think of the right
Making
way.
it an experience instead of just an exhibit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got
Not
you.
going to an exhibit, but going to an experience.
I'm about creating experiences.
Yes.
So that's what my art shows are kind of stand out from others.
Ale, this has been an absolutely amazing time. I really appreciate you spending time with me. Is there anything that I failed to ask you about that I wish I did?
No. I think you got me blown away with a lot of the subjects that we talked about. They were different from other ones that I've done, doing a lot of other podcasts and interviews, so I appreciate that. And
for what it's worth, I've got about another 2 pages of stuff I'd like to talk to you about.
Right. No, I got to come back, right?
But yeah, I'm
We're going to have an update.
Part 2,
You're going to know what's going on with other things I'm working on today to solidify. We're going to have an update. It's going to be a fun one.
Well, if you're willing to do it, man, I would be incredibly grateful.
I got you, dude.
So
we're going to make that happen, man. We're going to get Andy Tan on here, too.
Well, hey, man, good luck today with your podcast meetings. Good luck with all you got going on, man, and we'll be talking to you
God
soon,
bless,
man.
brother. My man, I appreciate you, bro.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for listening. So what'd you think? What did I miss? Anything that you wanted to hear that I didn't cover? What do you want to know more about? Who would you like to see on the show? Hit us up on social media and tell me what you think. Check us out on iTunes and please leave a review. We're now on Patreon, and your support there helps let us know we're headed in the right direction. We have a lot of exciting new things coming.
fascinating guests and some of the craziest stories you won't believe. So stay in the loop and check out more great content by subscribing at our website, 8keystoGreat.com. Special thanks to my guests and all those of you living an extraordinary life. This is Nate G. We'll see you next week.